All right, welcome everybody. Don Campbell here and getting ready to kick off the webinar. I hope everyone in the United States anyway, had a great Thanksgiving. I know I did. I just want to do a couple of quick checks before we get started. Make sure that everyone can see my screen. So if anyone can just kind of chime in and let me know if you can see the slides that I just started and that you can hear me okay, that'd be great, and then we'll kick things off. LNC, loud and clear. Thanks, Richard. Thank you, Zane. Great. Everybody, good deal. Lisa, Brian, cool. Awesome. I see Tim in the crowd too. Tim, it was nice seeing you at Local U. Nice to see you again. All right, cool. Now that everything is working, I'll get things started. So, great. Thanks for being here, guys. A huge turnout, which is awesome. I always love to see that because we've got some exciting things to share with you today. So, get things started here. We've got the whole crew here on the call as well, so we're going to take you through some things, answer all your questions. If you have, usually we've got some really good discussions going on, so please chime in with questions along the way and we'll make sure to get those answered. So for today's webinar, what we want to do is talk about our new feedback modes launch, which we're just launching today. As fact, we just launched early this morning. A bunch of us were up really early and working on things, making sure everything was ready to go. And so what we want to do is actually, some of you might have been involved in the beta, but many of you have not, I know, and wanted to just show those to you, explain what's going on. We've got some really exciting results from the beta. We've got some stats to share with you. A couple of other quick feature updates as well that we've been working on. We'll do a demo and then answer all your questions. So that's really a focus for today. So what are we talking about with the new feedback modes? We've got Aaron put a blog post up this morning that goes into some detail. We're going to go into a lot more detail here today and show you exactly what we're talking about. But essentially what we've done is we've taken our taken a lot of the ways that many of you have been using our product, a lot of configurations we've added, and we've done a lot of testing and come up with some ways to really optimize the different feedback flows that you can use to reach your customers and get results. And so what we've done is basically captured those and tweaked them and modified them. We identified some patterns. We saw that there were 3 primary modes that we wanted to work on, and we were going to make those as super easy for you to select and switch between. And I'm going to go through the focuses of each of these modes and how they work. But essentially the results of these modes in our beta testing is really, really exciting. I mean, much higher open rates, much higher feedback and review rates than we were getting before because of some of the optimizations that we've done. We also did a top-down redesign in all of the emails and landing pages. So you're going to see much more professional design in all of them. In mobile, we've increased the touch targets for like the Net Promoter Score questions and the buttons, so it's much easier to hit. So a lot of cool stuff there. The visual editors have been completely redone and are a lot easier to use as well. There are a lot of exciting changes, not only into tuning the modes, but also into the designs and to the usability of it all. And then finally, just wanted to allow you to focus. So we had many of you who use the product to focus on, okay, right now I really want to get some feedback direct feedback from my customers, first-party feedback that I can use as testimonials on my website. Other people are like, I really need to focus on Google and Facebook reviews right now. And others are using survey questions to dive in. And before you could do these things, but you kind of had to know how to configure it. Now you can just easily press a button and switch between these modes to change your objectives over time. So really it was about allowing you to focus on those modes. Some of the results we're seeing, so if you look at the top line here, legacy mode, this is what we're calling, what the current, mode up till today was, calling it legacy mode now. But basically open rates were, this is tricky because it changes a lot based on the type of business and how fresh the customer list is and things like that. But open rates generally around 40% with approximately a 20% feedback rate and a 3.5% click-through to review sites rate. That was in general. Doing some beta testing with just the ultimate and review mode, if we average those together, open rates are looking around 52%, a much higher feedback rate of 37%, and triple the more than triple the click-throughs to review sites. So seeing some really exciting results from this, and some of it is because we know some really clear optimizations as well. I see Nikita says she can't hear anything. I don't know if Aaron or Mike or somebody could maybe chat with Nikita Smith and let her know.
Yep, I already sent her a
Oh,
message,
cool.
Don.
Thank you very much. Awesome. And Tim says he can hear me. Good. Yeah, so basically we're seeing some great results. We want to make sure that you guys are aware of this and that you know how to use these new modes, because I think as soon as you switch over, you're going to see much better results for your business or for your clients if you're an agency or a reseller. So pretty exciting stuff. All right, so what I want to do now is go through each of the modes, just kind of give you an idea, and then we'll drop into the product and show you what these look like. So ultimate mode, this is the new default mode that we're using, and we call it ultimate mode. It most closely mirrors our current setup, but it really helps you take advantage of all the aspects of the product. So it's got all the different features. One major change, though, is we moved the Net Promoter Score question into the feedback request email. So if you look on the left, you can see that on the mobile device, instead of a give feedback button, the Net Promoter Score question is just right there into the email itself. So it takes one step out of the process, moves it a lot closer to the customer, and just from that one change alone, we're seeing much higher response rates. But then, including the new designs, which you can see here, it makes a big difference. In terms of the focus of this mode, so I'm going to just kind of walk through each of the modes, tell you what the focus was, primary and secondary focus. Ultimate mode is really 3 steps. And the focus is to just capture the complete customer experience, right? It's like we want to make sure we're capturing Net Promoter Score, survey questions, if you want them to drill into certain areas of your business, first-party reviews, which can be turned into testimonials on your website with rich snippets for the SEO advantage. And then the secondary focus is to generate third-party reviews on sites like Google, Facebook, Better Business Bureau, Houzz, or whatever your industry-specific online review site is that you're trying to build online reviews on. It's really the focus of ultimate mode. And those of you who have used it, you understand that there's a lot of value in the first-party reviews as well as this third-party reviews, right? So those first-party reviews represent fresh content from your customers going on your website, marked up with rich snippets so that they can show up in the Google search results. You also understand your Net Promoter Score, you can use survey questions. So that's really the focus of ultimate mode. Review mode is it's closely related to the ratings only option that you might know of today. Of course, it also benefits from the new designs and everything. The Net Promoter Score question is there right in the feedback request email, so you can capture the Net Promoter Score, then ask happy customers for a third-party review on Google or Facebook or whatever the review site is, and then unsatisfied customers for information on what went wrong. So that's review mode, and so you'll see in a minute when I show you, you can just like one click to switch between these modes. Very straightforward. Take advantage of all the new templates as well. So the focus of review mode is just to give you a quick process to request a third-party review on Google or Facebook after capturing the Net Promoter Score. And the nice thing about this mode is that it's a little lighter weight than ultimate mode. It's going to build more online reviews because it's more focused on that, but it also allows you to capture Net Promoter Score, and it gives the option if someone is unhappy but they don't want to ding you on one of the review sites, they can provide you direct feedback as well, and so you can still capture that in this mode. We're finding, in our research and in our experience that you really want to have that direct feedback option, because there are lots of cases where people, they would much rather leave you direct personal feedback than go to an online review site. Like so many cases where maybe they're upset about something, but they're not really gonna, trash you on Google in a review, but they want to vent, they want to tell you about what happened, or they want to make a suggestion, and so make it, allowing for that direct feedback in there as an option is super important. All right, and then direct mode. Direct mode just gets right to the point. Right in the email request, it features the request for the third-party review. So the Google or the Facebook or the BBB or whatever, those links are directly in the first email. And you'll see there's also an option to give feedback direct if people want. And so this is a mode where it's super direct in terms of the online reviews, but you're going to want, and direct feedback is still possible if they want to bypass the online reviews, but you're not capturing Net Promoter Score. You're not asking that question. So it's really important, if you're using this mode, you should have a good handle on understanding how your customer relationships are, because you don't want to end up using this mode without that, because you're just sending people directly to the review sites. So it's going to yield more online reviews. You just want to make sure you understand how you're doing.
I would add to that, Don, that we allow you in that mode to move the get feedback to the top and to collect NPS score. And my experience in doing that is that most unhappy people, like 98%, will give you feedback first, give you NPS. You have a chance to get them twice, actually, for the website and for the reviews. And my experience is that many businesses fear this mode, but it's actually the most powerful mode, particularly if you encourage them to give you direct feedback and then leave a review. So it doesn't have to be just for people with high NPS scores. It's certainly safer for those people. But I think that if you dropped even into the 60s, 70s, and 80s, you would find that people are very successful with it because most humans don't want to trash in public.
Yep. Yeah. Great point. I think that, well, I'll show you guys in a minute what Mike's talking about, where you can see this give feedback button. There's an option in the settings where you can move that to the top. Right now it's set at the bottom, but I'll show you how that's configured. And so, to Mike's point, I think this gives them still the option to vent to you directly without going to Google. But if they're ready to leave you an online review, it puts it front and center. So super powerful mode. Mark had asked, I kind of missed it when we were talking about review mode. He asked, in review mode, so I back up to the previous mode here. He asked, do low scores, like if someone rates you like a 0 through 6, does it take you to the online review buttons? It does not in review mode, and that's really, you can change your threshold, but what we're really talking about, that's what direct mode is for. If you want to just always present them with the online review links, just put it in direct mode, and they're going to get them no matter what, but they can still have the option to leave you feedback directly.
Yeah, and an important thing, we're not changing the behavior of Net Promoter Score. It's still used to both capture NPS and to also segment happy and unhappy customers. So whether it's ultimate mode or it's review mode, that's still being used to send happy customers one direction and unhappy customers another direction.
Yep.
That all being said, some of the review sites don't like you thresholding customers. For example, TripAdvisor has an explicit policy against it. And so in that case, you need to be aware of that and adjust your flow accordingly.
Yeah, so you could just use direct mode, and that way you're showing all customers the online review links. You're not segmenting at all. Then you're still giving them the option to leave you direct feedback, so that in that way you're totally in compliance with like a TripAdvisor policy. Yep. All right, and then the other thing I'm going to touch on, I'll just show this to you, but there are some new, we've basically taken the branding of your logo and the banner image and captured that all in one settings screen of its own, instead of there were various parts of the product where you could put that in and out just in one place. So let me, just quick summary, and then I want to show them to you. So we've got ultimate mode, which is 3 steps. That's the most complete, captures the entire customer experience. You have review mode, which is a little lighter weight, and that's really 2 steps, and then direct mode is 1 step. It's just putting the online review links and the direct feedback link right in that first email. All right, so let me take you on a little tour here. How do you get started with this?
Don likes to live dangerous and do real demos in real time.
Yeah, I spent enough time in here doing the videos that it's kind of fun to go through it again. So, all right, so how do you get started? What you're going to do when you log in, next time, you're going to see the settings, some new options in the settings screen. There's this brand and colors screen, and then there's the request modes, and that's the screen I'm sitting on now. But we recommend you go to brand and colors first. And the reason for that is the new designs, they use an accent color. And while we'll pull over your logo if you've already uploaded that and the banner image that you already have, this accent color is new. And so you want to go in and make sure to specify that and set it as a color that's maybe some color that's in your logo or that goes well with your logo. And I'll show you where that shows up. But you just want to go in here and make sure to set these up first under brands and colors. This is like one of those little things that I'm excited about. I don't know why I'm excited about it, but I just like having this all in one spot. And then it informs all the templates, emails, and landing pages going forward. So
as somebody who is colorblind, I look at that and say, oh my God, a color choice.
Yeah. I think it's good to point out too, Don, so if you click on the square, there's kind of a set base of kind of main colors that you can choose from. And then of course, after you get outside of that, you can then, take one of your colors out of your logo scheme from either Photoshop, but as long as you know it's hex color, it's 6-digit color, you can drop any 6-digit color then into that and save it that way as well.
Yep. Cool. All right, so that's that. And once you have that set up, you want to go to this new request mode options. And here's where all the action is. When you first log in, you're going to be sitting in legacy mode. And basically, that's all of your existing content. If you've made any customizations to your feedback flows and your templates before, they're all preserved here. And that's the mode that you're in by default. New accounts, as they're added, the legacy mode won't appear anymore. So for, say, a new location gets set up and it's all brand new, then legacy mode won't even be there. We just wanted to make sure to have a nice soft transition if there are customizations made, because you're going to see the templates are quite a bit different. So let's start with ultimate mode. I'm going to select ultimate mode. And the thing you'll see here is that on the right-hand side, all of the steps are here, right? They're all in one spot for you. So you can kind of see the flow of, here's the first feedback request. Here's the first reminder email. It's going to be sent 2 days later. I can turn on a second reminder and change the timing of that one as well. And I can control all of those from here and see what they are, so I can see this entire flow in one spot. Then I can go in and edit those. And if I click on the edit button here, you'll see these are the new visual editors. You can kind of see the new branding here as well. And what we've done, we've got the subject line and the body. You can make the changes to everything right in here. And we changed the way the tags work a little bit too. So as you're customizing the content, you can just, if you want to add one of the tags, you can just right click, add the customer name or email or whatever. You can add these in just right from a simple right click if you wanted to make those changes. So it's pretty straightforward. Yeah, and so the visual editors are, I think, just they're more high fidelity now, and they're just easier to work with. So we're very excited. You can kind of see the new designs, what we've done with the rating scale and everything. And what I like to do, which I always recommend, is to send yourself a test email. Just say, hey, let's make sure I can understand what this looks like from my customer's point of view, right? So basically, I just say modified the feedback request. We've got some new default subject lines, some new default content based on our testing. We're suggesting new defaults for all that stuff. Now, one thing I want to point out, though, is that we're not bringing over your existing content into these new templates. And we talked about that a lot. That was a big discussion for us because we thought, boy, that would be the easiest if we just brought over everybody's content into the new templates if they had customized everything. But the problem with it is, in the previous mode, in the previous situation, right, the button that's in this email says give feedback. It's not the Net Promoter Score. So most likely the content that you customized and entered then wouldn't match with this new template, and we're afraid of bringing over content and then having emails that didn't make any sense. And so we decided that because the content is new, because the format of the emails are new, We're not going to bring that content over. We're going to preserve it over here in legacy mode. We're not going to bring it over. It only take a few minutes to update the new template with your content, but I just want to make you aware of that you're going to have to do a little bit of work when you first set it up.
Yeah, and I think good to mention too, we took into consideration a lot of the research that we did, and a lot of it had to do with, really streamlined content. Less content is actually more powerful and more action driven. That was obviously one of the reasons why we moved NPS right up into that very first email, is to make each step when somebody takes an action to actually be resulting in tangible results or value on your end. So instead of a dead click like give feedback, now within one click you have the NPS score. So really at every step we were looking, how do we make this more efficient and provide you with more results? And even in the editor, right, if you want to move back one step, Don, to kind of the layout of all the steps in the mode. So a few small things to point out with this, Don already hinted at, you're seeing from top to bottom, this is the process a customer would go through. They might skip a few steps depending upon what they do. But you'll see, just to the left of the edit button, we're showing you an icon, what it is, if it's an email or if it's a landing page. Where before you used to have to bounce between two different screens to edit your flows, now everything is contained in this one screen, and you can edit step 1 all the way down through step 10 from top to bottom. Turn on features that you want to use, set timings for things that go out at specific intervals. And then you also notice we added, when was the last time that you edited as well. So when the last time is that you touched that specific piece. You'll also notice if you go down to like the feedback landing page step that's on there after the second email reminder, if you're using survey questions, we're going to let you know how many survey questions are being used at that time within it. So small descriptions, last edited dates, visual icons to let you know what the steps are, and putting them all in a row. So again, we wanted for you guys to make it as easy as possible to understand the steps contained in that mode and to edit them and move through them and see kind of all the settings at a high level all in one screen instead of bouncing back and forth between multiple screens.
Yep. So perfect. So let's go in then and take a look at the flow of what this would look like with the new templates. So if I go over to my email, I've got a new feedback request. Here's what it looks like. So here's my subject. Here's that accent color I was talking about that goes with the logo. And here you can see the new layout, and it includes the Net Promoter Score right inside of the email. If I click through, then it's going to take me to the landing page, and what you're going to see again, the branding and colors coming through here with the new design. And if I scroll down, you're going to see that I've added survey questions, and I'll show you where that is in the editor in just a minute, but we've added survey questions for this. So wanted to drill into the speed of service, the pizza in the waiting room, how would you rate different things, and then the value, right? And then there's the text content as well, which is really capturing that first party feedback. So essentially I've got a really nice new design with the survey questions. You captured the promoter score already right in the email. I'm just going to type some text in here so I can move through and send the feedback, and you can see this this positive feedback landing page. So here we have the copy review button. We've got the review links directly right here. So familiar to you if you've used Get 5 Stars before, but some new designs, and what we're seeing is like much higher response rates by moving that Net Promoter Score right into right into the email. All right, so I just edited the feedback request. I can do the same thing with the email reminders, right? So I can go in here, here's the reminder email if they didn't leave you feedback. Here's the second reminder, which I can turn on or off. The feedback landing page, which is Aaron mentioned, it shows that I have 4 survey questions. So instead of a separate interface for survey questions, now it's right here. I can modify them, move them around right inside the editor at this point and see what it's going to look like overall. So that's all included in that step. The positive landing page with the review request. So I can literally just go into each of these and make my changes. So that's the then the negative and then the emails that come out afterwards. So all of these are changeable, I think I just love this. A lot easier to go through and modify everything.
Another thing to point out in ultimate mode, so we used to have the option, if you use the editor, you could add in the copy paste button from that first party review that was left direct to you in the form of a testimonial. We now have that included in the template, so you don't have to monkey around with putting that in. It's automatically there, so if the user just wants to copy and paste their feedback they're sharing directly with the business, they can then use that and take that out to use that to write a third party online review as well.
Yep. So Kelly's asking, legacy mode says testimonials with SEO benefits. Are there SEO benefits in the new modes as well? Yes, good question. So ultimate mode is very similar to legacy mode, except it has the new designs, the new editors, and the Net Promoter Score question right in the email. When we talk about the SEO benefits, we're primarily talking about the first party reviews, which are captured as testimonials and published on your website in the rich snippets format, which is available in all of these modes. It's just a matter of what am I emphasizing? What are my goals, right? Am I trying to build, a common scenario we see is people build for a while, they're capturing first party reviews, going through the system, they're publishing it to their website, they get quite a few of those and they start seeing great SEO benefits from that, and then they say, I want to focus on some of my Google reviews. So then they want to switch to a ratings only mode and start focusing their customers on building online reviews for a while, and they switch back and forth, and we're just trying to make that easier. So I actually think in the end, because of the higher response rates, you're going to actually end up, so we're definitely not taking any of those benefits away, we're just giving you the ability to amplify those. Yeah. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, and I typed a response to Kelly, and here's the best way to look at it. Each of these modes has a different focus. Ultimate mode will most likely get you the most amount of first-party feedback just based on the order and that it has it included as a step that the customer has to go through. So if you're super focused on first-party reviews and streaming those to your website, and that's a main priority for you over third-party reviews, then yes, use ultimate mode. It is the most closely mirroring to the former process and mode that we're calling legacy now. It's just going to perform even better because with that NPS question one step up and the new designs, we're seeing more interaction within those. But just as Don pointed out, and as we go through these other modes, when we get to review mode and direct mode, both of those have direct feedback options as well. That will get you first-party reviews as well, but you're going to have some customers that don't leave first-party reviews because they're going to go right to the third-party reviews with it.
Yep, exactly. And then Kelly asked another really good question. She's like, what if you send out a review request in legacy mode and then switch to review mode before the legacy mode person responds? Does that affect what the customer will see and the mode by which the original request comes back in? Very good question, Kelly. That was one of our test cases during development and testing. So if you send out a feedback request in a particular mode, it stays in that mode. So even if you were to send out a feedback request in ultimate mode or legacy mode, and then you send out some requests, let's say you send 5 of those out, then you switch modes and send 10 more out in some other mode, the first 5 are going to keep with the mode that was sent out. So it basically sticks with the mode that the feedback request was sent in. That was
So look at it, the mode is attached to the customer. So if that mode is turned on, when you activate and send a feedback request to that customer, it'll keep that customer with that mode. And the next mode won't be used when you switch until you add a new customer.
Yep, exactly. And then Will asks, is there a way to add your own hyperlink to the text area of the templates? You could do this in the old version. Will, good question. That was another hot internal debate. There's not. We were opting for, with these new visual editors, to make things very straightforward. We're not taking that away from you. If you wanted to do that, you still have legacy mode to do it. And we're talking about adding there were a few things we had in the previous editors, like I think you could do bold and italic and drop in a hyperlink. We're talking about adding those. No guarantees, but that we're talking about adding those to these editors as well. Another thing I wanted to point out here is that if you're looking at ultimate mode, we have a link here. If you're using SMS, so if you're in Pro and you're using text messages to send out for feedback requests, we have a direct link to the editor here. And this hasn't changed, but we're just kind of making it available right from there, so you could go in and customize your text feedback request. And whatever mode that you're in when they click through, so think about how the SMS works. It sends out a text message asking for the feedback request, and then when they click that link, it then takes them into whatever the mode is that you had sent that feedback request as. So it'll take them into the funnel or into the flow for ultimate mode in this case, because that's the mode that I have set. Does that make sense? I know that comes up a lot with is there a way to drop down into edit the HTML code? No, Tim, there's not. Again, that's another thing we talked about. And then when we're in these editors, here's the thing with email, okay? Email, you got to imagine like how many different devices and clients that this feedback request is going to be showing up on. It's going to go all over the place to a lot of different ones. And so, and when somebody is banging around, if they can mute their mic, that would be great. Yeah, so the thing is, it's we're not gonna, it's just for us to enable full rich editing of like HTML in this mode, we're just sure that it's gonna end, like we have to run all of our emails through this tool called Litmus, which simulates different platforms. So imagine Outlook always does the wrong thing, right? Because doesn't even have a browser, it's using the Word HTML presentation engine in it, and all different versions of Outlook are different. Then you have, Gmail and the Apple Mail, and you have all these different email clients, and so it turns into a nightmare very, very quickly. So that's the only reason why we're not doing full HTML editing here. And Tim says, "Oh, you guys are no fun," but I understand. Thank you, Tim. we try our best to give as much flexibility in here, but also be able to preserve the structure so that we know that it's going to show up clearly on all the devices. All right, so that is the ultimate mode, and that's how you change it. It's all right there. You can also switch to the other modes. So as we were just discussing, you can be sending some out in ultimate and decide, hey, I want to go to review mode. So I click
Don, before you flip, did you show survey questions before? Did I just miss that? Maybe when I was reading the question.
I showed them, but we can go back there just to make sure. So in the feedback landing page, I can edit the survey questions there. So that's where they're showing up. I can move them around, reorder them, add and remove them from right here. So you see it all in line with the visual preview.
Yep. So here's one other where survey questions used to have its very own page. Now survey questions, because they're only located in ultimate mode, they're in ultimate mode on the feedback landing page. So that's definitely something to make note of, on that being a change to where they're located.
Yep. All right. So review mode. Let's switch over. And now that I've switched to review mode, I've got some different steps here. You can see that it's a little bit different. Some of the same things like the first and second reminder email, the positive landing page. But let's look at the feedback request, because there's something I want to show you here. In this mode, right, this looks very similar to the ultimate mode, right? It's almost the same thing. But what happens when you click on this is where it changes. So I'm going to actually send myself another one of these so that we can take a look. There's a test. But before I go look at that, I wanted to show you on the positive landing page what happens. So here is once they click on the Net Promoter Score question, they're taken to this landing page where I'm featuring my online review sites that I've captured. Again, these are the same ones that show up if I go to settings, online review links, just as in the past, right? So they're the sites that I've chosen that I want to capture online reviews on. But we've got this setting here, and I kind of hinted at this when I was showing in the slides earlier. We've got the direct feedback button below the online review links in review mode. Now you can turn that off just by flipping this switch, so you don't have to include it. But like Mike was pointing out earlier, we highly recommend that you do include it, because there's just so many cases when people, we're still leading with the online reviews and making it really easy to go click through to those. But in this case, we're giving them that outlet if they're not ready to leave you an online review, but they want to leave you some feedback directly. It's right there. So we recommend that you leave that on, but I just wanted to point that out that it's an option. So I'm just going to pop over and take a look at my email so we can see this this review mode request. So here it is. It looks very similar to the ultimate mode, but once I click through, you're going to see instead of asking me for the open text, which are capturing the first party review, now we're just directing them directly to the online reviews. And they can still leave direct feedback. And that's what I think is great about this mode. So if I click one of these buttons, it takes me right to the Facebook page where I can leave a review if I want. But if I decide I'm not going to do that, I can click direct feedback and it's going to take me right here. I've already captured the Net Promoter Score. Now I get the first party feedback still. So both of those options are available in this mode, which I think is super powerful. So we've looked at the positive landing page request. You've got the positive follow-up email, the negative landing page with the apologies. So you can edit all of these again just in the sequence. And as Aaron pointed out, it shows this is an email, this one's a landing page. So the icons give you sort of like a guide that tells you what am I editing here. So that's review mode. Any questions on review mode before I move on? Tim is saying, is it possible to white label the emails, that is, remove the powered by tagline? Yes, that's how it works now, and we're not changing that. So if you're, white labeling got 5 stars, then it would not show in the email. It would not show the powered by.
Yeah, maybe Tim, you're not aware, we do have a white label version of our product. So if you email, if you're just using it through Get 5 Stars right now, if you email support@get5stars.com, it is a one-time fee to have the account white labeled, but then it removes all mentions of Get 5 Stars from it. And you can even put your business name in as a powered by from a number of the templates. So there are more than a few advantages to white labeling the platform as an agency or reseller and selling it as your own. And the other thing you might want to be aware of, we sent out an email to our agencies and resellers, and we're having a specific webinar for them on Thursday regarding the new modes that will cover some of this stuff.
Yep. Good questions. Thank you. All right. So now
I think, Don, too, if I could just interrupt to point out, so ultimate mode and review mode, if you remember back to the stats that Don shared from some of our beta tests, and really what things are focused on, right? With ultimate mode and looking at it as a 3-step process, and the second step is gathering the customer in survey questions and first party reviews and feedback, and then the third party online reviews. Well, there we saw on average about a 6.5% to 7% click through to the review sites. And then the difference we saw in review mode, when you remove that second step and it goes right from NPS, where we're understanding if it's an unhappy or happy customer, and taking those happy customers' review sites, we saw the average click through to review site going to Google or Facebook or Houzz there at over 18%. So, almost a triple rate that we saw in clicking to third-party review sites by, removing more options for the customer to interact with you and already, tell you things firsthand to you. So, by far and away, if, first party or third party reviews on sites like Facebook and Google are more important to you and your number one driver, review mode is going to put more customers, on top of those review sites and into those review sites than ultimate mode will. Now, in ultimate mode, you'll get more first-party feedback, and that might be the better balance that you want. But each of those, again, that's why we lay out what their primary focuses are. Still helps with the secondaries in each one, but it's going to have one driving set of actions that it's going to accomplish better than the others.
Yep. So Mark is asking, we have 3 types of customers. Some want to use Ultimate, some review, and some direct. Is there any way to build rules into Get 5 Stars to handle different kinds of customers? Yeah, that's a great question, Mark. Right now, there's not. The way that you handle it now is by setting up 3 different locations. and then setting them all in different modes. But believe me, that's the kind of thing that we're always looking at. So we're definitely will be considering something like that in the future. So great suggestion. Thanks. Also, Gmail customers get online links to Google where others get other online review links. Mark, we tested that. Mike actually tested that out and found some interesting conclusions. He did a test where he searched in Get 5 Stars, in this customer list, and only found people with Gmail addresses. I'm sorry, he found people with Gmail addresses, and then he sent them in the feedback request only the links to the Google review. Then he ran another test where he sent to those same customers, and he sent two options, Google and Facebook. And what he found was the actual response rate was higher when there was more than one option. And so, at least in our testing, this is a common thing that comes up a lot, and we definitely looked into it. But we found that it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a higher review rate if you target Gmail customers with a Google link. It seems that people like to have more than one option. So we haven't actually built that in for that reason based on our testing, but it's something that we're willing to keep watching and testing against for sure. Mike, did I represent that properly?
You did, although reality has changed since then, and it's certainly worth testing again, because the big change, I did that before Google allowed anybody with a Gmail address to leave a review. At that point, you had to also have a Google Plus address, which slowed many people down. So it's different reality today.
Yeah. All right, thanks. Mark is saying, hey, I'm a reseller and I haven't seen an invite to Thursday's meeting. Could I be included? I'm hoping Aaron or one of you guys can capture his email address and make sure he gets an invite.
Already on it.
Tim's asking, are you able to track actual completed conversions? That is, reviews actually left on third-party review sites. Good question, Tim. That is something that is a, I don't want to call it a ghost or a will-o'-the-wisp, but that is sort of like one of these stretch goals that we've been watching. So the trick to be able to do that is to, people can leave an online review in Google or Facebook or whatever, TripAdvisor, whatever it is, and they don't always provide their full name or the same name. There's no way for us to actually verify their identity on that site. So it's really impossible to be able to say, hey, this same person who you sent a feedback request to, they press the click through button to go to the Google site, actually left your review on Google. I will say in our labs, we have a working version of that we like the results so far. So this is something that we are testing and experimenting with. I don't have any dates for you. I can't even promise that when we're going to do that, but I can tell you that it's of interest to us. I know it's interesting to you, so we are watching. That's we're working on that. Tim says also please add me to the Thursday invite. No problem. How do the new modes integrate with the testimonial widget? Good question, Jesse. So really nothing changes there. The testimonial widget is going to just display the first party feedback that you capture when you go through these modes. So it's really no change there. I mean, it still works seamlessly with the testimonial widget. So any of the first party feedback that you capture, you're going to capture more of that with ultimate mode. But whenever you capture that, it gets put in our system, and then you can decide whether to show it in the widget. Yep, beautiful. So, all right, let's talk about direct mode. So I'm now going to switch over to direct mode. And here you see a little bit shorter list because direct mode is direct. It's more direct than the other modes. That's why it's called that. If I click through to the review request, this is their the feedback request here, and it's actually a review request, right? Because we're not even asking for feedback. We're just saying, hey, please leave us a review. This email includes the same editable content, and then directly the online review links right in the first email. Now, this is what Mike was talking about earlier. In some cases, like we're adding the give feedback button to the bottom here after the review links. But in some cases, let's say that I think the scenario Mike was talking about, maybe I don't know exactly what my net promoter score is, and I wanted to, but I just want to go straight up. I can just click this button and add the give feedback link to the top and feature that above the online review links. So it gives this mode some flexibility. If you want to go straight for the online review, you feel confident with that, you can do it. If you want to give that outlet to give direct feedback first, maybe you change the text a little bit in here to reflect, your goal, then you can do that too just by, flicking the switch, so to speak.
And my experience has been really, really positive. I have if you haven't had, we haven't tested it with middling or NPS scores, but with high NPS scores, we've tested a lot. And people with high NPS scores get both a lot of feedback. Some people leave feedback plus a review. Some people leave feedback plus 2 reviews. Some people just leave a review. But it's significantly more of everything, at least in those with high NPS scores. We really want to test it in people with middling NPS scores because my firm belief is that customers will, for the most part, respect the business and give them negative feedback first, and you can still, if it's at the top, you can threshold it, and so you could capture them. And so I think it's a very powerful mode that a lot of small businesses are afraid of it, but that's fear, that's not reality. So.
Yep, a question from Michael. He's saying, hey, I'm trying to update the feedback request. How do I place our photo in there? Yeah, so
I posted an answer to Michael, but just to verbalize it for everyone. When we did our research, we really found that the secondary photo or additional image didn't affect outcome, and it didn't affect confidence at all within the consumer. And what we really wanted to do was, streamline these requests and make them action focused. So, and adding the accent colors, a small touch to keep in line with your brand, obviously still have, the logo and the intro content to do that. And then we wanted to keep the NPS question as high as possible in mobile. So we didn't want to bring anything else in to, have further stacking or get in the way of those elements. Because if you put it above the question, it's going to push it down further. If you put it below the question in mobile, it's not even going to be seen. And let's face it, when we look at these, we obviously know over the years mobile continues to rise. In our platform, more than half the requests are fielded on mobile. So when we looked at that, it really wasn't worth trading the space for that small amount of brandability when it wasn't adding to confidence, results, or placement of the action for the customer.
Yep, so that's the review request for direct mode. Again, I have the ability to modify these other pages, right? And so one thing I just wanted to point out is if they were to, here's another thing that's interesting, is if they were to go into that email, right, and click on, oh gosh, did I send myself one of these? So let's just check it.
While you're doing that, I could throw out, Michael, one thing that you could do that would be like a hack for yourself if you wanted to is, build an image that has both your logo and either your headshot or the staff photo, depending upon what type of business that you are. And if you did that, then you're able to contain both of those and then upload that joined image as the logo file. So we've done a few examples of that for some insurance agents and things like that. I don't know if Don bounces into one of those locations later on, but that will definitely allow you to be able to kind of see that together. And that's a way you can hack both a photo and your logo together to be included in the header if it's really important to you.
So here you see the direct mode feedback request with the direct links for Google and Facebook, right? So if I click on the Facebook link, it's going to take me to leave that review directly in there. But the other path I wanted to show you is the give feedback. So if they were to choose give feedback, now you can still, and this was Mike's point, you can still now capture all the rich NPS information. And I'm editing let me just back up, I'm editing this private feedback landing page here. I can even insert the survey questions in here. So the survey questions that I configured in ultimate mode, I can turn them on. So it's my option whether if they come through, I can just capture the net promoter score and the first party feedback, but I could also turn on survey questions. So it's kind of interesting. You've gone from this direct mode of please leave us a review, but now you've got a customer who's sort of self-selected and said, hey, I've got something I want to tell you. Now you can capture that entire rich experience through this mode if you want. And you can choose whether you just want the NPS question and the first party feedback, or to want to also include all my survey questions in there. So I think that's why Mike is so high on this mode, because you still can get a lot of rich information. You're going to get less of it because you're going to be sending more people to the online review sites, but you're going to still get, for those people who really want to tell you what's going on, they can give you the full range of information.
When combined with a personal ask, I don't think you'll get less. I think it's, if you have a commitment from somebody through a personal ask, that's the most powerful thing here in all these modes. It's particularly powerful in direct mode, and I think you'll find that if you do have your customers ask, they'll be really successful with it.
So Michael's just responding to the comment about the photo. He said, I'm sad to hear this. I think it should be an option if one wants it. It has done nothing but add confidence for us. Yeah, so Michael, I hear you. This is one of the reasons why we've left legacy mode. So if you have something that's working the way that you want it, and you don't want to move it, we're keeping that there. And then I think these are good things for us to hear, right? Is we're going to be collecting feedback like this, and before we take away legacy mode, there might be some things we need to address, right? And so we're definitely listening. I mean, I hear what you're saying there, but we're not like, you can still use the legacy mode if you've got it the way that you want it right now, and then we'll keep track of these kind of requests. Greg is saying, I love that you can customize the powered by. I can stop nagging you guys about that now. No problem, Greg. Michael, case in point, we've received 157 requests. Not bad. Yeah, you guys have gotten, wow, you've received 157 since signing up 3 months ago for a small business. 157 feedbacks. Yeah, that's great. Testimonials. Yeah, that's awesome. Michael, are you publishing that to the website with the testimonials widget? I'm a little behind in the comments, and then Michael's saying, hey, thanks for that hack, Aaron. I will give that a try. So integrating the photo in with the logo. And then Tim says he's got to drop off soon. Thank you. Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Tim. Thanks for coming. John says, in the Add Customer page, any thought of letting the client select which mode to use in the future? Hey, John, that is a cool idea. That's a very cool idea. So you're saying when I'm in the customer dashboard and then I add like a customer, is that what you mean? Like right here, I could just choose the feedback mode? I mean, that's pretty cool. Because then, like if I'm an office manager and I know my customer well, like for example, I've had people who run an office who say, look, give me the option for email and SMS right in as I add the customer, because I know some customers just aren't going to check their email. They prefer SMS communication. I can set that right here, or vice versa, right? That's kind of cool with the modes as well. That's a good idea. You might say, wow, I know this customer is super happy. I just want to send them a direct mode feedback request, right? That would be a nice option. So I like it. Kelly says, can you bold? You can bold certain words in legacy mode, but can you bold words in the new modes? Kelly, no, we can't right now. Going back in here, we're looking at that though. So in this editor, I realized like we were trying for simplicity and straightforward. We're trying not to have too many changes because of the different email clients. But I do, someone else earlier asked about adding the URL, your own URL in here, the bold and italic that we had before. Yeah, we're looking at that. We're looking at putting that in. So I understand that's something we had before. All right. Okay, so that's the deal with the new modes. To get started with them, like I mentioned before, it's like you're going to be in legacy mode. Go in, switch to one of the new modes, set up your branding colors first. So go back in here, make sure you choose a color. If your logo is already there, enter a color in. specify a banner image. This is optional. The banner image is optional. It's not shown in every template, only in some of the landing pages. But make sure that this is in order, and then go to request modes. Choose your mode. Remember that we're not bringing your content over, so you're going to want to check the content of the feedback request to make sure that it's what you want. Send yourself a test, and then, then go with it. Go ahead and try it out and give us your feedback. I think, like I said, we've been testing these for a while, and we're seeing great response rates, great click-through rates. So don't wait around. Every day you wait, you could be getting much more data and feedback than you're getting now if you switch to these modes. All right, any other questions about the modes while I'm in here? I'm going to switch back to the presentation for a moment, and then we can come back to it if we need to. Yeah, so that's it. We're really excited. Go ahead and give that a try. There are a couple of other features I wanted just to mention to you that we launched recently. One of those is a new customer uploader. So this is an area where we got a lot of support requests, and Josh and Mike on the support team were like, hey guys, we got to do something about this. In the past, when you uploaded a customer list, you used a spreadsheet, and if that spreadsheet, you had to have it in a certain format, or else the upload would fail. And so what we've done now is we've made it a mapper. So you upload your spreadsheet, and then we walk you through the steps and say, hey, what column does this belong to? Oh, that's the first name. Oh, this one belongs to the last name. So basically, we just walk you through one time, and then we're sure that we're going to capture all the right fields in the right places. So we've done and we do our best guess to automatically match the columns, and then you can override those. We've also done some streamlining with the error messages if you've got missing customer data, so that when you do the import, it's really straightforward on how that works. So that's a big deal. It sounds like a small thing, but it's one of those things that actually I think is a big deal. Yeah, because we've had a lot of people get stuck on that. So if you have clients that are using the system, I think you'll notice that as well. And if you're using it yourself, go and give this a try. It's a huge improvement. The other feature I wanted to mention for Pro plans and above, we added the ability to do Twitter monitoring. So we had a lot of, especially larger locations and brands, ask us and say, hey, you know what, we want to be able to monitor Twitter in addition to online review sites and make sure that we understand what's being said about us on Twitter. So now you can monitor up to 5 hashtags or keywords or Twitter handles or any combination of those. You can monitor those. We update it hourly, and it's for the Pro plan and up only. So if you are a reseller, you might want to think about talking to customers. If you think they'd be interested in this, it might be a good upgrade for them. Or if you're interested in Twitter, if that's the nature of your business and you're getting Twitter mentions, then this is an option for you. All right, so I'd really like to hear if you have any impressions on these modes, especially on the new feedback modes. I'd love to hear it. We captured a few feedback items today. Definitely, hopefully you guys know, we do listen, right? We're always listening, and when you have good feedback like that, we're writing it down and putting it into our plans. So, so thank you for that excellent, straight shooting feedback. I love it. Anything else that I can answer about the modes, or guys, anything that I've left off that you think I need, I should have mentioned? Just chime in.
I think one high-level general thing to point out related to both modes and the customer upload list. Back in the beginning of the month, we wrote a post that really had to do with the 2 biggest optimizations to get more reviews. And just as a number of the questions you guys ask, right, are very small optimizations from things like, subject lines or, certain links being included, bolding, italicizing, things like that. And all those are very micro optimizations to what goes on. But if, you're really focused on getting the most amount of feedback, the 2 biggest optimizations you can make that this post pointed out was, first, the human ask. Mentioning to your customers ahead of time that you're going to request feedback, that you want their feedback, that their ratings, their answers, them sharing an online review is extremely important. That by far and away is the #1 thing that you can do to increase responses and increase the amount of first-party and third-party reviews the system gets you. If you treat the system all by itself, and when that feedback request goes out, it's a complete surprise to them, you're not going to get as strong as you can of open rates and participation from your customers. So finding a way to bake into your process and setting a responsibility level with them that feedback is part of the business and customer relationship is absolutely the #1 optimization that you can make that will help you, or if you're a reseller, your clients get the most amount of feedback possible. Then the second one is timing, and this comes in with like the list uploader. The closer you are to asking for that feedback to when that customer had that great experience or that wow moment with you, that is also going to fuel more results and more participation with it. The longer they go away from the time that you provided them with a great product or a great service, a great experience, the more they're going to forget about it and the less they feel responsible to leave feedback or make a comment on it. So if you're really looking to make, and these are obviously a little bit harder than tweaking a subject line or some content, but if you really want to make 2 optimizations that will drive you more results, focus on the human ask as part of the process so that the review request isn't a surprise out of left field, and focus on getting the timing of it. Upload your lists on a on a daily or weekly basis instead of a monthly basis, or add customers manually right away after you're interacting with them, or find a way to automate it, using Zapier or using our API documentation. So those are really the 2 biggest things when people are like, how do we get more reviews? #1 is the human ask, and the second one is making sure your timing is as tight as possible.
Yep, exactly. Good stuff, Aaron. These are I saw Josh was ahead of me, and he posted a link to this blog post in the chat window. So, all right. John says, modes are excellent. How about mapping for import businesses? Oh, so we're talking about mapping for customer uploads. John is saying, what about mapping for the business import spreadsheet? Yep, good. Very good suggestion, John. Now that we have the mapping figured out, how to do a nice job with that, with a good experience, we can look at that. Great. Well, that's all we had for today. Awesome questions. Thanks for asking those along the way. Definitely don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have questions about this or any feedback, or I just want to see people try this. I think it's going to make a huge difference in your results. So give them a try, and give us your feedback, and I know it's going to make a difference for you. So thanks again for being here today. It was great to see such a big turnout. I appreciate that a lot, and we will talk to you guys very soon. And don't be a stranger. Stay in touch. Thanks.